Hello everybody and welcome back to RP-1. We've been making some great progress in this series so far and I'm pretty happy with that. I'm really excited to pick back up the Heavy Satellites program. I know we've been doing some X-Planes in the past few episodes and at least personally I don't find them as interesting as rockets. So, I know some of you may feel the same way as that. So I'm excited to say that we are going to be doing some rockets today. We are going to also continue the X-Planes because truthfully that is financing our whole operation right now. But as we can see, coming back here, we have 8.8 science. However, we are quickly coming to a bottleneck where we just aren't going to be able to progress simply because we don't have the science necessary. So that is what we're going to kind of focus on today. With the jet planes, we need to continue completing missions. So we are going to grab a jet plane science. But for now, let's just kind of look around, see what we have options for. Solid rocket engines, I would like to keep pushing into, but unfortunately, we need to spend our science very wisely today. And I think what we're going to do is we are going to keep this mature supersonic flight, and then we are going to head into the hypersonic next with that. But one thing that is important with this is we get a higher air launch level. We'll be able to launch at a higher altitude, which means we'll start off with a more efficient flight path. So let's go ahead and check out mission control and see what we can pick up for today. We already have a few missions, a few contracts selected. Stratospheric research is going to be difficult because we have to get to 22 kilometers, and so far that has been our limit. And then the other one is to go Mach 2, supersonic, and with that, I believe we will be able to achieve that with the new engines that mature supersonic flight will provide us. So we're going to go in and edit the jet plane that we already have and upgrade it with better engines and see what kind of performance we can get from that. Unfortunately, I'm not going to include the test flight here, but just to let you know, it does end up working out, and these upgraded engine configuration, the J57P21, is going to be well worth the science spent into it. Just comparing the kilonewtons of thrust and the ISP and whatnot, so we won't have access to any of these other configurations, so this is all we can get. I'm going to remove the fuel and fill it back up, but I feel it might have retained the same fuel type, so that'll be good for us because we can just put this out in the same hangar without having to upgrade it. There's no point in adding any science aboard, especially on this vessel, because we're not going to be able to get above 40 kilometers. And if you're not familiar with realism overhaul, there's no active science to be gotten below 40 kilometers altitude. So unfortunately, this will not be a science plane. But soon enough, once we can gain access to technology that allows us to go above 40 kilometers, we'll be able to collect a lot of science from that, and that'll help bolster us. But for now, we're going to take the Quicksilver 1, which was our previous orbital rocket, and we are going to adjust it to fit our needs. And our needs right now is to collect as much science as possible. And what route we're going to take with that is the advanced biological capsule. We're going to try to collect this and return it back down to the surface safely, and hopefully it'll be in space long enough to collect a large amount of science, which will allow us to purchase other technologies that will further us in our cause. I don't think we're on track to be super efficient with our time anymore. I don't think we're going to be beating any milestones. However, I do feel like we are beating our own personal milestones. We're doing better than we had in previous seasons, so that's nice. So we're going to change this to the Quicksilver 1.5 because seriously all it is the same rocket just with a different payload on top. But it's a good enough payload that I want to differentiate it from the other one because we can use the other one to just handle small payload into orbit missions. So I do forget to change the Quicksilver 1 decal on the orbital stage, but nonetheless, it's all good. So I spent a lot of time testing out this rocket, testing out different configurations, different launch paths, and unfortunately, this orbital rocket is going to be more of a sounding rocket because it's really difficult to retrieve things from orbit once they've gone fast enough to escape the bonds of gravity. Turns out, I'm playing around with these fairings a lot, but ultimately we end up going with a different design. This is not working out in a lot of my test flights simply because it can't take the heat upon reentry. We're using the fairings to kind of cheat our way into having kind of an early heat shield sort of thing because they can protect us from aerodynamic forces, but ultimately we're going to end up needing ourselves a heat shield. But that will be a little bit later. Right now it is time to just finalize this fairing shape. Decided to get rid of the 2-stage fairing because that was just a little ridiculous, but that one will work well enough. So in the previous episodes, we canceled out our heat shield science. We were researching it in favor of these avionics prototypes, but now we're going to cancel that once again and go back into this entry, descent, and landing technology because we're just going to have to with this. If we want to stand any chance of survival, we're going to need a heat shield. And the only type of heat shield we have available is called a heat sink, and what that is designed to take really hot, really fast temperatures for a short amount of time. So if we were to get into orbit and then deorbit, we would be having a very horizontal angle of attack, and this heat shield just wouldn't be designed for that. So we're going to need to launch this basically straight up and straight down, and that's what I was talking about as far as turning this into a sounding rocket. But nonetheless, by going straight up and straight down with the amount of fuel that an orbital rocket would carry, allows us to go very, very high into space above Earth, and so we'll be able to get a lot of science from that. That being said, is why I added the film camera, the early film camera. It looks like a Science Junior, but added that as well because we're gonna be able to get a lot of science from that. So let's go ahead and simulate that. We took off the little side boosters to deorbit us because we didn't need to go into orbit. We're adding a secondary film camera because we ran out of film, I guess. It depleted its source, and so we added a second one on there. We also added more heat shields because I am still having problems with reentry, so we're going to just kind of do what we can with what we have. Sometimes having extra heat shields for it to burn through can help. I'm kind of winging it here. I don't have a lot of experience from this point on, so I'm just trying to do what works. And this funky little arm that we've got here with our SRBs seems a bit ridiculous, but unfortunately it worked, so we're going to go with those. I'm excited to show you the launch of this. It was quite interesting, but we have to build a new launch pad because we just ultimately changed our weight limits and height limits too much. So we're gonna go build that, and then tooled it. And now that we have the ability, I'm forgetting that we already made a launch complex, so I was starting to make another one. But let's see, I created launch complex too. We can just go ahead and get rid of that. We don't need it. Put it on the Dr. 600 and put it out for launch. So now we're going to make a few edits to the JP1 that we have. We've unlocked air brakes, which will be great for slowing us down before we hit the runway at 200 kilometers or 200 meters per second. And some parachutes to slow us down once we get onto the runway. So let's go ahead and time warp our way, get that JP1 mounted to the aircraft carrier. Now that we have a new max amount for our air launch, we changed that up, put max altitude, max speed, all that, but changed our distance to the KSC to 350. We don't have any pilots who are trained in the mission right now, so we're going to go ahead and give that to Heidi Weber. And we're going to just kind of film time warp our way forward to the air launch. Unfortunately, Heidi Weber was not ready to be trained in that, so we ended up getting Stuart Kelly trained in the meantime. So Stuart Kelly on for his, I believe, his third flight now. But the goal is to go Mach 2 supersonic between 625 and 650 meters per second for about 5 minutes. It's unfortunate that we're not above 40 kilometers because we could be getting some pretty good supersonic science from this. And like I mentioned in the beginning of the episode, we are in danger of locking ourselves out of progression because you very well could do that in RP-1 and Realism Overhaul, because the way that it changed around the tech tree is if you're not continuously finding ways of exploring new biomes and running new experiments or the same experiments for longer, you can, if you spend it unwisely, then you deplete all the opportunities to get more science. So I'll be very happy once we can get a cockpit that can keep our Kerbals alive for higher than 22 kilometers. I think 22 is our max so far. We haven't gone higher than that. I believe even that we're running the limit of what we can do. But now we're going to just speed up the footage, speed up the time. We need to get up to 625 meters per second. As you can see from our nav ball, that's not taking very much time at all. We're already up to 600, so we have no fear that this plane will not be able to handle the mission. So for now, we just take some time, look at the beautiful clouds around us, appreciate our surroundings, appreciate humans' ability to break the boundaries of what's possible, and indeed fly above the clouds. As we see here, we have 3 minutes left remaining on our time counter. Autopilot is holding us steady at our speed and at a stable altitude. We're neither climbing nor descending. And before we know it, 15 seconds, 10 seconds, 5 seconds, and we have successfully completed this mission. So there we go, contract complete. All we need to do is land safely, or land at any rate. We are a little bit closer to the KSC than I would have liked. Just a couple more kilometers away would have been nice. We could have had a little less aggressive of a descent, but nonetheless, we do have plenty of fuel remaining. So if we do need to kick these engines back on to further our distance, we can, which is nice. But I went ahead and killed the engines because they were still providing thrust, and I just want to kind of glide down nice and easy. In the past few episodes, we've had some less than stellar landings by both Heidi and Stuart. Our pilots are good at flying, not very good at landing. So it will be nice to see if we can get this plane down all in one piece. We're lined up fairly well, which is nice. We are farther away than I would have liked going at this speed. Feel like we're gonna end up coming short. Probably not short enough to land in the water once again, but probably short enough that we're gonna end up spending some time driving through that grasslands before the runway. So I'm gonna kind of level myself out and see if I can glide a little better. This is a really stable craft, though. I'm quite surprised. I kind of slapped this together a couple episodes ago, just being like, I don't know. I was really banging my head against the keyboard trying to get a good jet plane to work, and I was doing a single engine jet plane, and it was kind of working, but it was struggling on every single contract that I was trying to put it up against. And so I'm like, you know what? Screw it. We're going to put 2 engines. It's going to go twice as fast. And I just kind of slap the wings together. They're stock wings. They're not even procedural or anything like that. Everything is very simplified. So I was very, very happy to see it work out. But my estimation was off about us coming short. Either that or I did a good enough job with my glide. We are not exactly lined up, so I'm going to have to hit the yaw a little bit, trying to get us tilted more to the left. And I don't have the HUD up, but we are going above 200 kilometers. I can feel it. But thankfully we have new installed air brakes to help us slow down, and the parachutes, which were a last minute addition, we're very thankful to have. So, like I had hoped, we had landed all in one position, all in one piece, and we'll be able to fuel this up and send her out again for the next mission. But that will be in the next episode. So we're getting Stuart Kelly back. He got 27 days put onto his retirement date. And so he'll be flying with us until the end of December 1966. So I'm pretty happy with this. The reason why I want to kind of pursue the X-Plane program in this playthrough is because we are going to need pilots. My idea with doing the Heavy Satellites program is that it sets us up into a good position. Real fast, I'm just going to hire some researchers to get our heat shield to us a little sooner. But anyways, you're going to need pilots in order to fly crewed flights. And with the Heavy Satellites program, we already put ourselves into position of having larger rockets, beefier engines, all sorts of things like that, which will help us to get our crew in orbit. So it's good to have pilots who are trained. But anyways, we're tooling a rocket. We bought all the pieces we needed, and we're just going to go ahead and get it on the launch pad, except we have about $1,000, a little less than $1,000, too short of our funds. So we're just going to time warp forward a little bit, make our money, go back into the VAB, put that out on the launch pad. I go to launch another one, but once again, have not enough funds, so we're going to time warp until we get the 9,000, go back into the VAB, put it onto the production list, and then we're going to time warp forward till it's time for our launch. Love when things move fast like that. But anyways, here is the Quicksilver 1.5, designed to go as high as possible, collect as much science as it can, and return safely back to the Earth. I've been experimenting with the camera tools mod, so this is my first attempt at a pathing camera. Let me know what you think. I'm going to try to learn it a little bit better, and maybe we'll try to get a few more cinematic shots of our playthrough. I was trying to do kind of like this little 360 that ended up in this perfectly horizontal position I feel this is a little wild and it's twisting around, but let me know how you think, or if you don't care about that, or if you want to see more cinematic shots. I'll try to learn it a little bit faster. But anyways, we got our smart ASS on. We are going to actually head north with this. I changed my heading to the 315 degree mark, and that is because we'll be flying over the whole of North America that way. And the camera picks up different science based on which biome it is over. So we're going to be getting several different biomes as we pass this way. If we were to head east, true, we'd be able to utilize the gravitational or the rotational momentum of the planet. But we're basically going to just be over the ocean for a while until we get to Africa and Asia and Australia and all that. But by going north, going over North America and the North Pole, the Arctic, we'll be able to get quite a few biomes. This is kind of an unsanctioned launch. We don't have a mission involved in order to satisfy. We're not going to be getting any kind of reputation from this outside of the fact that we're going to try to recover our payload. But other than that, this is not progressing us forward in our programs in the slightest. But we will be getting some good science, and that good science will be able to unlock better technology, be it better avionics, better science experiments, better rockets, better materials to build things out of. If we can just get ourselves a whole chunk of science and just really aggressively push forward our research, then that in and of itself will make the rest of the program easier. So I'm just going to get my windows up here just to keep an eye on our science experiments. The advanced biological capsule doesn't work until you are actually past the Kármán line. So at 140 kilometers, it will start running. The other two have already started running. There we go. We have 44 available science from the advanced biological capsule, as well as 24.8 from the regular biological capsule. The early film camera gives you 5.5 per biome. So we'll be doing good. We've got 1 minute and 20 seconds left on our lower stage booster. We're just going to lock to prograde at this point. We're not even going to deal with smart ASS. Because really, there's nothing else we really need to do except get as much altitude as we can. So we're going to physics warp forward a little bit. Starting to tilt down, but not at a rate that is concerning at all. Our apoapsis is just passing 100 kilometers, or excuse me, 1.0 million meters. We're going to go ahead and rotate so that we can keep spin stabilization. And then we are going to separate stage, boost, ullage, and engine. There we go. So now, as long as we don't have any engine failures, this is going to burn for another 2 minutes, 24 seconds, pushing us even higher into space. We have some science on our avionics, but I think we've collected everything from it, so there's no point in really paying attention. It's such a funky looking thing, definitely. I always get this feeling of RP-1 of like very sleek, metallic looking crafts and payloads and things like that, and then you get things like this, which couldn't get any more Kerbal. But it worked. So the idea, I haven't talked about this, but the idea of those SRBs is that we need to slow ourselves down as we come through the atmosphere. We end up pushing ourselves very high. As you see now, we're going to be passing 5,000 meters per second. Actually, we don't pass 5,000. But we're getting to 4,700 meters per second at our apoapsis. So we're going to be coming down very fast. And so those SRBs are kind of designed to just give us the best chance of slowing down possible. So our biological sample capsule is done. The advanced biological capsule only has 1.4 science out of the 44, and that is because that thing needs to run for a full 24 hours. Really, the only way to fully get the advanced biological capsule is to orbit. But we'll be doing that soon enough once we can more safely return back from orbit. But now we are getting closer to the atmosphere. Battery's starting to run out. But thankfully we still have communication, which means that we can activate the last stages when we need to. So biological sample is now running once again because we are below the Kármán line in a different biome. And we fire. It slows us down pretty significantly, but we are still going over 5,000 meters per second. But as you see here, we are slowing down to the point that we are no longer on fire. And throughout all the tests, the many hours, probably about 4 hours worth of just test flights alone, trying to get this thing going. No, actually, sorry. About 2 hours of test flights and then 2 hours of building. To be a little bit more accurate, but a lot of time spent just trying to figure out how to get this payload through the fiery parts of the atmosphere long enough to come down safely and launch our parachutes. So it took a lot of time to get there. Ooh, Northern Lights. But it took a lot of time to get here, and I was very happy to see it when it worked in simulation. I only did the one simulation. Once I saw it work in theory, I just kind of put it through. So at this point in my recording, when I'm actually doing the mission for real and I saw it work out exactly the way that it did in simulation, I was so happy. This game can be very frustrating, and I've said this many times before. It can be so frustrating, but when it's gratifying, whew, it is so gratifying. Let's go ahead and speed up the footage a little bit, get ourselves down to the surface, but I didn't want to just cut forward because these trees were kind of fun to see approaching. And we end up falling almost in the embrace of one. We're touching the branches on our way down. I'm gonna adjust the brightness of the footage a little bit because it was very dark coming in, but I wanted to show you our surroundings, our beautiful RSS Reborn surroundings. But yeah, mission successful, science achieved. A whole whopping, well, it doesn't tell us here. For some reason, it's only saying that we have 3 science aboard, but if you look at those numbers, you know that we have much more than that. Oh yeah, it does say we recovered 29.3 science. So that brings us up to 36.9. We're going to be able to get quite a lot from that. Let's go ahead and go into the R&D department and spend that science so we don't forget what we want. And we're going to go get the avionics prototypes again. We need the advanced satellites to get the better science. And we are going to go ahead and get the hypersonic flight because that gives us access to the X1 cockpit, which is actually rated for reentry. And so we'll be able to get some high altitude flights from that in the coming episodes. But anyways, that is where I'm going to leave this one. I hope you enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed doing more rocket stuff, and if you do, let me know that as well. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're looking forward for more RP-1. If you did, please think about subscribing. Drop me a like, let me know your thoughts, and I will see y'all in the next one. Take care.